I am so excited you're here. It's wonderful to come together with people that have similar passions. I appreciate you taking time to learn how dignified employment empowers and protects. Several years ago, I saw a video that changed me. It was an undercover reporter in Cambodia asking for the youngest girls he could find. He was led down an alley into a little room. As he waited, several girls were ushered in. They looked like they ranged from 12 to 7. The image of those young girls is still etched in my mind. I so desperately wanted to do something, but I had no idea how I could fight this violation of youth and dignity. As a result of reading books that explain how victims of sex trafficking become ensnared, and a 2-week research trip to India to learn all that is required to help them reintegrate into society, I came up with a synopsis of stages that explain the basics. I call it the 5 key components of exploitation. Each of these stages has enough information to fill volumes. What I'm presenting is completely not all that there is, but it does offer a starting point. There are vulnerabilities, procures or perpetrators with a promise, exploitation, rescue and restore, return and reintegrate. The first is vulnerabilities. This is a situation I refer to as people who are marginalized. We are all vulnerable to a certain extent, but there are certain circumstances that leave people more susceptible to being exploited. Some are genuine needs, others are perceived, yet they all result in vulnerabilities. Some of the highest vulnerabilities are extreme poverty. If a family barely has food to put on the table, an offer for a good job in the big city for their daughter sounds like a blessing. A single mother is going to do whatever she can to take care of her child. Another extremely high risk area is devaluation of the girl child. In some cultures, sympathy is the response to a woman who finds out she's going to have a daughter. More baby girls are aborted, abandoned, or killed in India and China each year than are born in the United States. Another very vulnerable situation is lack of support from friends or family, or not having a family at all. Of the 18,500 runaways in 2016, it is estimated that 1 in 6 were likely victims of sex trafficking. 86% of those who ran away from foster care, or they were in the care of social services. Another vulnerability is insecurity with self or surroundings. How many teenage girls are insecure? 100%. To varying degrees, but all experience insecurity. On an average, a runaway will be approached by a trafficker or solicited for sex within 72 hours of being on the street. The second is procures and perpetrators, and I would say with a promise. These procures and perpetrators are people who take advantage of those who are in vulnerable situations. This is a situation, these are people. They are experts at identifying those who have this need. They see the need, they come with a promise to fulfill that need. Whether it's, we don't have enough money, or all my friends have boyfriends and I don't. These are situations where a girl feels a need and is vulnerable. It can be a Romeo who romances the girl, or a trusted figure who offers to help in meeting that need. Promises are made, and then deception comes, which results in exploitation. This can be labor, this can be labor trafficking, this can be sex trafficking. I use the term exploitation here instead of trafficking because the key components are basically the same when rape takes place. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes or it's 10 years. It involves vulnerability, a perpetrator or procure, and exploitation, and it's wrong. In the case of sex trafficking, the number of people can include a recruiter, a transporter, brothel manager, brothel owner, or it can just be a pimp running his own business with many girls. Once a girl has been sold, captured, or coerced, and the exploitation begins with a process that's called seasoning. Seasoning is a combination of psychological manipulation, gang rape, beatings, deprivation of food or sleep, and or threatening one's family. Seasoning is designed to break down a victim's resistance and ensure compliance. It can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 years, depending on how much fight the girl has in her. Simply said, they beat the hope out of her. The next component is rescue and restore. Rescue is typically taking someone to a safe house, out of a brothel, out of a red light district, out of a difficult, vulnerable, exploitive situation. They're provided with counseling and legal assistance. This is the space where healing begins. Some domestic violence shelters will not take trafficking victims because of safety concerns. Traffickers may search for escaped victims, which they view as lost income. They may track down the victim to the shelter, putting others at the shelter at risk. The last part, which unfortunately is often neglected, is return and reintegrate. It's that last component. It's time for that survivor of exploitation to reintegrate into society and become self-sustaining. When people ask who we help, the easiest answer for me to say, we help those who are vulnerable to exploitation as a preventative measure, and those who have come out of exploitation and are ready to return and reintegrate into society as a restorative measure.